Hello, everybody. Well, it's never a dull moment in D.C. as the battle rages on for the soul of America. Welcome to Christy Lee's D.C. Dispatch. I'm Scott Armstrong from Rebunked News and the Grand Theft World podcast, filling in for Christy Lee for the next few days. So much going on today, you guys. Breaking news right before we went on air. But, of course, prior to that, the tension between Elon Musk and MAGA Republicans heats up. As yesterday, Elon threatened to primary any congressperson who votes for the big, beautiful bill. And, of course, the big, beautiful bill just passed, like right before we went on air. So my understanding is that now has to go back to the House, I guess. So we'll discuss it. We'll get into that. And I guess J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote. So very interesting stuff. We'll get into it here very shortly. Also, I wanted to talk about this story. So in the midst of all of the conversation about deportations, border security, a big part of the big, beautiful bill, this new Department of Justice memo comes out talking about the denaturalization of certain naturalized citizens for certain crimes, which I think is great. But if you look closer, that includes some thought crimes. And so I have some questions, and so we'll unpack that as well. So we have all of this, so much more. But first, we're going to head over to our correspondent out in the field, Allison Steinberg. I guess Trump's on his way to Alligator Alcatraz, a few different things. So we're going to head over and check in with Allison out in the field. Allison, how's it going?
Hey, Scott. Doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Grateful to be here. So what are you seeing out there today?
Well, it has been a very eventful day here in Washington, D.C. I actually just left the White House a little bit ago, where Trump departed this morning for Alligator Alcatraz. As you mentioned, this is a very big day for us because Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida stepped up to the plate and really just got to work on building this facility. It is a 3,000 bed detention center. And it was just 1 week ago that the DOJ approved this facility, and now it's already up and running in just 8 days. So that just goes to show you how quickly people move here to get the largest mass deportation efforts carried out as Trump campaigned on and promised, and we are now seeing him fulfill, thanks in part to Governor Ron DeSantis. So this is great news. Trump arrived there just today around 10 a.m., and there's a runway right out front where Trump landed in Air Force One. So this is great convenience, a great convenience factor to bring these illegal aliens in and out with ease. They can just arrive right there, and they will be housed, and all of the paperwork will be processed and then eventually deported right there in Florida. It's in the Everglades, and this is a facility that is surrounded by alligators, hence the name Alligator Alcatraz. So if anyone dares to think that they can escape this prison, they better think again. So this is great news. I actually have a clip of Trump with Ron DeSantis there from just a bit ago. Ron DeSantis explaining more on this. Let's take a listen to that.
This is we're offering up our National Guard and other folks in Florida to be deputized to be immigration judges. We're working with the Department of Justice for the approvals. I'm sure Pam will approve. But then I'll have a National Guard judge advocate here. Someone has a notice to appear. Biden would tell them to come back in 3 years and appear. Now you'll be able to appear in like a day or two. So they're not going to be detained, hopefully, for all that long. We'll have people here in this facility that can make, it's a bureaucracy. The president's got to deal with the bureaucracy. Now, that Supreme Court ruling was good because that's going to allow him to be able to exercise Article 2 the way founders intended. But you still have bureaucracy. So we want to cut through that so that we have an efficient operation between Florida and DHS to get the removal of these illegals done.
Wow. I mean, I absolutely have to give them credit. I mean, usually my perception of the government is this giant, incompetent, lumbering buffoon that can't do anything ever. So the fact that they executed that so quickly is pretty impressive.
It is pretty amazing, especially when you look at that in contrast to what the Biden regime did and how, they just rolled out the red carpet for all of these aliens. And now we got to clean up the mess. And we're seeing it happen in real time. So this is excellent news. I think they're going to do a great job. And I think it's a very important issue right now, of course, too, because I actually learned in the White House press briefing yesterday that there are still massive measures taking place to try to cover for these aliens who have been illegally let into the country. Of course, as we know, there's been massive protests against ICE and law enforcement officers who are doing their job, responding to President Trump's orders to get these aliens out. Now we've learned that there is an app which CNN is promoting to warn people when ICE is present or planning to make arrests. This is very scary stuff. I actually have a clip from CNN promoting this and talking more about it. Let's take a listen to that, because this really puts into perspective how bad this issue is and how badly we need to reform this system that has been created over the years. So let's take a listen to that.
The Trump administration steps up ICE raids and mass deportations. One tech developer is pushing back with an app designed to track ICE activity in real time. It's called ICE Block, and it's controversial to say the least. Senator Claire Duffy is with us now. How does this work, Claire, and what are the legal implications?
Yeah, John, I talked with Joshua Aaron, who is the longtime tech worker who developed this platform, and he said he really wants it to be an early warning system for people about the location of immigrations and customs enforcement officers. So he says he does not want people interfering with those officers' activity, but he does want people to be able to avoid them altogether if they want. So you open the app, it looks like a map, and users can tap the map to report an ICE sighting in their area, and then everybody who uses the platform within 5 miles of that sighting will get a push alert. This is a free iPhone app. It is anonymous. Aaron says he doesn't collect any user data. And what I think is really interesting about this in this moment is we've seen so many of the biggest leaders in tech supporting President Trump. But Aaron is sort of an example of the fact that there are people within the tech industry who are really resistant to Trump's policies. I asked him what he would say to those tech leaders who, for example, were at the inauguration. Here's what he told me. Take a listen.
I understand that you have shareholders to report to. I understand that you have employees that need their paychecks. But at what point do you say enough is enough?
And John, I should say that ICE did not respond when I asked them about this platform and about Aaron's opposition to their activity.
Wow, that's shocking, especially in light of what just happened in Idaho over the weekend.
Yeah.
The ambush on law enforcement. I mean, this is just setting the stage for something like that. That's just unbelievable.
It really is despicable, and we've been seeing this go on now for the past several months, these violent attacks against ICE trying to do their jobs. Really nothing wrong on their end, but we have these radical communists that are doing everything in their power. We're seeing massive protests erupt in Portland right now. People who are just awful, disturbing neighborhoods, even local neighborhood residents are upset at these people. They're probably Democrats too, but they're like, can you guys just shut up? We are so sick of you. Go home. Be done with this. So the fact that CNN is encouraging this behavior, putting law enforcement officials' lives in danger, their families' lives in danger, it's really despicable and it's disgusting. So hopefully the DOJ puts a lid on that ASAP. But in other news, Scott, I know you touched on it in your opening. The big, beautiful bill did just pass here on the Hill. This is sort of the biggest breaking news of the hour, and that just passed through the Senate. It was actually a very close vote, very narrow majority. The vote was actually 50-50, and then Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote for a 51-50 vote. The only Republicans that voted no were Tom Tillis, Rand Paul, and Susan Collins. Of course, all Democrats voted no as well. But this is a very big deal. We've been hearing so much about this, and it's really been in the works for quite some time. Lots of amendments made as it passed through the House the first time and the Senate, and now it is going back to the House where it will have to be voted on again before it can go back to the president's desk. Now, a big topic that was being discussed, at least in my circle of people and anyone who is at all concerned about the incoming digital surveillance state, was this artificial intelligence provision within the big, beautiful bill. This was sort of snuck in there and ultimately allowed for unregulated AI in all 50 states for the next 10 years. This is terrifying, obviously, because with the rapid development of AI, who knows where that could lead us. It's definitely not something that I want to be living under. So anyhow, this was a big issue. Thankfully, people started making noise about this just in the nick of time, because it turns out that AI moratorium was actually scrapped entirely. entirely. This is amazing news because I was hearing yesterday that they were going to take it from a 10-year moratorium to a 5-year moratorium, which really wouldn't make a whole lot of a difference if you ask me. But now it looks like it's taken out of the bill entirely. So I know Marjorie Taylor Greene had mentioned if that was still in the bill when it came back to the House, she would not vote for it. It sounds like they're going to clear the votes that are needed to pass this in the House, and then it'll be on its way to the president's desk. So that is good news for Americans as far as tax cuts are concerned, biggest tax cuts in history, and of course, more border security included in that as well. So sounding like all good things as far as the big, beautiful bill is concerned currently.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Allison. I'd say build the wall, not AI data centers. Can we just do that? Come on.
I love it.
So, all right. Well, Allison, thank you so much for your hard work out there, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Thanks so much. Take care.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye. All right, guys. Well, that was Allison Steinberg out in the field doing excellent work. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back, and we're going to hammer some of this news out. We'll see you in a minute.
The last time President Trump was in office, gold soared 50% and silver went up a huge 53%. Americans who invested in silver and gold during Donald Trump's first presidency are very happy that they did it. And right now, gold continues to soar to the highest numbers in history. These gains are just an appetizer for what's to come. Some market analysts are saying that gold is predicted to rise another 30% in the next year alone. So now's the time to invest in gold and silver, and that's why I partnered with Fisher Liberty Gold. Fisher Liberty Gold is a conservative-owned and operated precious metals investment company. They even helped my good friend President Trump get elected through their contributions to Turning Point USA and other conservative groups. I have dedicated my life to ensuring that people get the best sleep ever. And in addition to owning a MyPillow, I can now sleep well at night knowing that you can all protect your savings with precious metals with Fisher Liberty Gold. With Fisher Liberty Gold, you can sleep well knowing that your retirement is secure. And if you call now, you're going to receive your very own presidential gold guide and qualify for up to $20,000 in free silver. But wait, there's more. Call now or text metals to 26786 to receive your presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty. And for a limited time, I will send you a free MyPillow for qualified accounts. This presidential gold guide from Fisher Liberty will tell you exactly why you need to own gold even while Donald Trump is president. And just by calling in, you get a free MyPillow for a limited time for qualified accounts and up to $20,000 in free silver. So don't wait. Call 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today. That's 1-888-4GOLD-19 or text metals to 26786 today to receive your free MyPillow and up to $20,000 in free silver.
All right, welcome back to Christy Lee's DC Dispatch. My name is Scott Armstrong, sitting in today and the next couple days. Very, very grateful to be here with all of you on Lindell TV. And so, yeah, right before we went live on the show, we got word that the big, beautiful bill that's been on the forefront of the conversation for, gosh, I can't even remember how long. It's back in business. And yeah, so we have JD Vance here reading. Can we actually play the audio of this clip?
As amended is passed.
Okay, so
on this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 50. The Senate being evenly divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative. The bill as amended is passed.
There you go. Okay, so I just want to get that on the record, just a quick clip. So as Allison reported, it was a split, very close decision. JD Vance making the tie-breaking vote there in the Senate. So heading back to the House. So it's a very interesting. I was not aware of the fact that the AI provision that has been a controversial thing was removed from the current bill. So that's good news. That was kind of the central focus of a lot of the complaints, a lot of the pushback. There's some other things, but of course, and a lot of an analysis of the bill and just where things are heading in general. It's just this empowering of the big tech, oligarch, technocratic overlay that seems to be emerging on a daily basis. So the deregulation of that seems to be, that's alarming. That's alarming in a lot of ways. And I've heard the arguments for and against. And to me, I think that we need to just be vigilant in safeguarding our own liberties more so than we ever have before. There was an era post 9/11 where people were more than willing to just give up their privacy and just kind of lackadaisical about the fact that, well, privacy. We've gotten to the point now where we just kind of feel by and large like, they just see and monitor whatever we're doing. It's kind of like we just don't even think twice about it. And that's accepted as a norm. And I would say, why are we so tolerant of that sort of thing? So with this new infrastructure coming out, this is the could potentially be something like we've never seen before. So I say let's safeguard in every way we can. If there is the opportunity to regulate some of this stuff, let's do it. So yeah, so there's a huge 940-page bill. Like Allison said, all these tax cuts, the taxes on tips. I mean, there's some good stuff in there. I'm all about the border security stuff. This is a win in many directions. And just like the border security stuff alone, I feel like it's a win for freedom. Let's get back to America only, you guys. America only. I'm an American only guy. Like, I don't want to have to deal with the turmoil of the world. Okay. It's time for America to heal. Sure. There's some political advantage to having golden handcuffs with other countries, to leveraging our might and power for global strategy. And I get all that. But like, we are coming out of one of the most devastating, the most devastating period in American history, ravaged by these Democrat psychopaths for the last 4 years at the very least. And then, we're coming off of decades of just being ravaged as a country, being exploited, just being absolutely parasitically sucked dry. And it's time for us to just close everything down, bring it back home, and let America heal. It's an open, gaping wound, okay? It has been an open, gaping wound for so long. Right now, we're just putting the Band-Aid on, spraying a little colloidal silver on it, and now we just need to let the healing begin. And that's where I'm at. Just seal the bandage, put the bandage on, seal the wound, and let's start the healing. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction. But as a turn of events, this is really interesting. So I saw yesterday, Elon Musk was coming out very hard against this big, beautiful bill. He is saying now that every single member of Congress who votes in the affirmative for the bill, he is going to primary. And, he's got a lot of money. He you could argue, swayed the entire 2020 election. He was solely responsible in a lot of ways for the major shift towards support for Trump, the MAGA movement, towards so many people who previously were not. I mean, you look at like the Mark Zuckerbergs, you look at a lot of the big tech people, they switched allegiance. And that's a whole rabbit hole that we don't have time to get into today, because I would argue that perhaps it wasn't because MAGA won the argument and they are now MAGA people. But needless to say, there was a lot of money that was thrown behind the Trump campaign. Obviously, we know the saga with Doge and how Trump and Elon, it was like the Big Brother meme. They were like best buddies. But now they've had this falling out. And now it's very interesting how Elon is now attacking the bill as this the largest debt increase. Okay, so according to this ABC News article, it says on Monday, Musk criticized every member of Congress who campaigned on reducing government spending and then immediately voted for the biggest debt increase in history. They will lose their primary next year if it's the last thing I do on earth. And we know Elon uses very hyperbolic language. He gets very passionate in his tweets. Okay. And he also goes on to say, how can you call yourself the Freedom Caucus if you vote for a debt slavery bill with the biggest debt ceiling increase in history? So very interesting. And then we saw later on, Trump hit back. Trump hit him where it hurts, right? Telling him Elon may get more subsidy than any human being in history by far. And this is according to a Truth Social post. Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back home to South Africa. No more rocket launchers, satellites, or electric car production, and our country would save a fortune. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good hard look at this. Big money to be saved. So he's putting Elon's subsidies on the chopping block. But I don't know, because as we know, Elon is a large military contractor. Elon does get a lot of government subsidy. There's no doubt about that. Probably, yeah, by and large, by far, the most subsidized, not just for his electric vehicles, but obviously Starlink, his rocket technology, SpaceX, like these are large government military contracts. that could arguably create a vulnerability within our defense security apparatus if they were to completely defund Elon. So in that sense, it seems like he has a little bit of protection as far as that goes, but it is an interesting back and forth. So first starts off with Elon criticizing the bill, threatening to primary all of the Congress people who end up voting for it. And now he's up in the ante quite a bit. He's taking it to the next level. And so he is actually threatening to start a new political party. Now, I know the audience here on Lindell TV, okay? I know, and I'm a very conservative guy. In fact, my problem is that I spend a lot of time, I don't even waste my time with the liberals a lot of times. Like, they're silly people. They are just silly people that should just be irrelevant in any conversation, okay? I find myself criticizing the right for not being right enough. Like, come on, you guys, can we just get a little bit further over? That's where I find myself, okay? Just so you guys know. But at the same time, the idea is kind of attractive, having a third party to break out of this right-left Republican Democrat swamp nonsense that has kept our country stagnant for so long. So I don't know. Personally, the idea is somewhat attractive. I don't know if I think that Elon, like, I can think of a few other people that I would like to start a political party, but it is interesting. It is interesting. So I'm really interested to see how this will play out. Okay. So yeah. So Elon posted a Twitter poll that 80%, 5.6 million people took this poll. And out of those 5.6 million, 80% said that they would like to see a new political party, the America Party. And yeah, according to that article from the New York Times, it says the country's biggest Republican donor called on Monday for the formation of a new political party and suggested he would back primary challengers, nearly every single Republican in Congress, against nearly every single. So that's wild. I mean, that's could be monumental. And really, politics is literally money. That's the only thing that factors in. The difference between a successful and an unsuccessful campaign is money. And if there's one thing that Elon Musk brings to the table, it is the fact that he does have a lot of money. A lot of it is unrealized assets, and you can make arguments as to where, how rich he actually is, how much he actually has in the bank. But at the same time, it is pretty interesting to see the quote unquote richest man in the world. I would argue there's some people with a lot of money that we don't even know about, and they don't want us to know about. But, by and large, the richest public facing person in the world is now threatening to throw the entire weight of his wealth, influence behind a new political party. It's interesting. It is interesting. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on this. I don't know if I would vote for a third party, because there's the argument that the third party always removes from the major political parties, and it actually defeats the purpose. That's the always the attack against the libertarians that are always trying to get on the ballot and get more than 1% of the vote and whatnot. So it's an interesting dynamic, and we'll see how that plays out. And it is interesting because it could siphon so many votes away from both parties. There, believe it or not, there are some reasonable Democrats out there that could easily jump onto that. And I still don't believe it. I'm sure they're out there. No, I know a couple of reasonable Democrats, but and now I'm never going to get invited on Lindell TV again. No, I'm just kidding. But they're out there. And so between the disillusioned MAGA base, that there has been some disillusionment happening over these last few weeks in particular, okay, over the situation in Iran, over this big, beautiful bill. Obviously, there's disillusionment. And I know there's a lot of people that are kind of like me that are feeling like not enough is being done. What about just the Epstein list alone? Okay, if Elon came out with a platform of releasing the the Epstein list, I mean, he could probably win an election just on that. Okay, so you might want to save yourself some trouble in the upcoming election, Mr. Trump, and release the Epstein list. Okay, put it to rest. What are you holding on to there? So anyway, but let's shift gears. Just probably have time to cover just this last story here. This popped up. It's a very interesting story. This is from Axios, and the headline is "What to Know About the DOJ Revoking Citizenship of Naturalized Americans." Now, there's so much talk around deportations, people being removed in various capacities. We've seen on college campuses people who have student visas being deported for various reasons, for protesting. Now, there's like different degrees. Okay. So you have the student visas, and then you have the green cards, and then you have a naturalized citizen. So a naturalized citizen is somebody who was not born here. They became a citizen. So once you become a citizen, you're a citizen. You have the rights my grandparents were born here. Okay. I am a hardcore, deeply America-loving American. Okay. And so what is the slippery slope to then my citizenship possibly being revoked? Now, let's look at this, because in the article, it does talk about, here are some of the things that a person could be denaturalized for. So the denaturalization is one of those people who has become a naturalized citizen, them being then denaturalized and sent, say, to Alligator Alcatraz. Okay. Now, in this Axios article, it talks about this Department of Justice memo, talks about the civil denaturalization in the case of war crimes, extrajudicial killings, human right abuses, and those convicted of crimes who pose an ongoing threat to the United States, as well as terrorists. I read that and I'm like, great. Okay, cool. If you snuck through and you are turns out you're a terrorist, you're plotting some attack, or human right abuses. If you become a naturalized citizen and you're committing war crimes, guess what? You're out of here. I'm sending you. We're not sending you to Alligator Alcatraz. We're sending you straight to the alligators. Okay, we're skipping the whole thing. We're just going to throw you right in the thing with the alligators and see how you do. Okay, I am all for that. That's great. But now it goes on to discuss that the denaturalization push gives the Trump administration another tool to police immigrants' free speech. And it's not even immigrants, it's naturalized citizens, U.S. citizens, that now, in the eyes of the law, have the same rights as I do. So that's where it becomes alarming. And in the article, it states, the Trump administration has targeted students, universities, and immigrants for alleged anti-Semitism. Frequently, those targeted have been critical of Israel's war in Gaza. And you can expand that now to what's going on in Iran. The DOJ memo cites ending anti-Semitism as another priority target. Okay. So here's where I have a problem with that. Here in America, we have a very strong value. And I personally, as a person in the media who has had his speech impacted, I believe in free speech. Guess what? In America, you're allowed to be and have anti-Semitic views. I don't consider myself an anti-Semite at all, but I will criticize the state of Israel all day long. I will criticize the United States government all day long. I will criticize the government of Canada. I will criticize the government of Colombia. I don't care. I have the right to criticize any government I want, but we live in a paradigm where my criticism of the state of Israel could be considered anti-Semitism. Criticizing a government is never, ever a violation of free speech. In fact, that is the core essence of what the First Amendment was designed to do, to protect our ability to criticize the government. And once we get embroiled in conflict overseas involving another country that just happens to be Israel, my criticism of that should never be thwarted, never be shut down, and never, ever be grounds for which my citizenship should be revoked. Okay? And that to me is just very shocking. And you know what's funny? I don't see any bills coming out about losing my citizenship over the criticism of Jesus Christ or Christianity. No, it's one way, and that is alarming. And I do not support that. So I just want to get that on the record. So, all right, guys, I think that's about all the time we have for today. So thank you so much for being with me. I will see you guys again tomorrow. My name is Scott Armstrong. Check me out at rebunk.news, Grand Theft World podcast, and very grateful for everything. And yeah. I guess I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids, but not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now